Hi, my name is Joe Goddard. I'm going to spend a little bit of time explaining how I make one of my tunes for you. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to just grab some basic drum sounds. Just Blaze released some of his kind of hip hop drum sounds at some point last year or the year before, and I just grabbed them. I'm not thinking about the exact sounds at this point too much. I'm going to do something super basic, get into it more later. I've got just a big kind of heavy kick, a few different snares, and I'll grab some hi-hats. These hi-hats are 909 samples that have been saturated onto tape, so they're kind of crunchier. I'm going to turn the quantize off now and program the other drums just kind of by ear, so there's a little more vibe to them. I grab some rim shots or other kind of snares just to make the pattern slightly more interesting. Taking the train in the morning is a really kind of good inspirational thing for me, that just kind of movement, and get ideas from that journey or from something I've been feeling overnight or thought about the night before. I'm going to go and use one of these synths that I've got in the room. It's a kind of 70s classic keyboard. It was big with Stevie Wonder. They often kind of go out of tune. There's a lot of kind of issues with them, but I really, really wanted to buy one. I wanted to just experience what it was like to kind of really hear one of these things in the flesh. So. It has this polyphonic aftertouch. It was one of the first keyboards to ever have that. So you press down, but then if you press harder, you control that with this thing. So I'm gonna I picked a few notes and I'm gonna just put them in as MIDI into the computer now, so I can modulate the sound as I'm recording it. The same MIDI's being sent to this ARP 2600 just here, so I'm gonna see how this pattern sounds on that as well. I guess that's one of the things that I really like to do, especially kind of in the early part of making a track. I'll write some MIDI, sometimes something as simple as this little bass line, but sometimes some chords that are more complex, and then I really like sending the stuff out to the machines around the room quite quickly and just seeing how the different synths kind of react to the MIDI. A spring reverb inside it, which is maybe you can't hear it so much on a low bass line like this, but if you're doing a higher lead part or whatever, it's super nice to have. And then always find that it's an amazing synth for bass lines because it has a lot of warmth and a lot of kind of texture to it that's really nice. I'm gonna just record a few bars of these synths and then write another MIDI part, like an arpeggio maybe to go over the top of it. Maybe like mess with the synths a little bit as I'm recording them to give me some options later on. Okay, so I've recorded a few bars of the ARP and the CS80. I'm going to just loop that for a while and then try to work out an arpeggio on the OBXA, which is just behind you guys. That MIDI to the ARP and the CS80 again, and I'll do some stuff on the OBX on it as well. So I'm just going to get good sounds on both of those keyboards for this part. I'm going to keep it simple to begin with and then maybe go to this like slightly crazier one at a certain point. So that's what the CS80 is doing. Alright, I think that's kind of cool. At this point maybe I'd like just spend 10 minutes just kind of making everything sound a little bit nicer. A thing that I often do is I've got this bit of outboard gear called the Culture Vulture, which is like a valve distortion unit. Send some of the drums through that to just give them a bit more balls and like energy, attitude. just demonstrate like the Mutron biphase. It's another bit of outboard gear. It's a stereo phaser from, I think, from the 70s. Sounds awesome on hi-hats and stuff, so. Cool, that sounds decent to me, so I'll just record a few bars of that. Alright, there's another piece of gear that I want to demonstrate a little bit. It's something that I use a lot. It's the Eventide Ultra Harmonizer 3000, which is like a classic bit of gear from the early 80s. I think Brian Eno was a big fan. I think Visconti used it a lot on, like, famously on like Bowie records on the snare drum and stuff. It's a kind of studio classic, but there are some presets on there that are really creative and really cool. I don't really know if like this is going to be in tune with the track. I'm gonna just listen to that now. I wanted to just mostly do it just to like explain like the effect and what it sounds like, because I think it's super cool. I kind of actually like the sound of it with the bass line. Just throw in some bits of vocal or maybe a couple of other drum things. This is a record of like disco acapellas that I bought in New York a while ago. Make you wanna do right, make you wanna do wrong. Love and happiness. It's like some super classic stuff, but sometimes you can find like whoops or shouts or kind of more kind of unusual stuff within it that has that awesome like old disco sound of the recording. I think I took a sample from here for a Hot Chip track at one point. Yeah, from Let No Man Put Us Under. I don't know if this is going to be like chordally kind of good. Let me just see if there's something I can do. I don't want to spend too much time doing kind of stuff like this. Okay, for now I think that's kind of cool, so maybe grab like a couple of more interesting drum layers. Universal Audio Neve 1073 plugin on the final mix on this setting called Subtle Enhancer, which just adds a little bit of bass and treble, I think, to the mix. And then just another Universal Audio SSL bus compressor from the SSL-G series desks, which is like a classic desk from maybe the 80s, just so the mix is a little bit glued together by the compression. I'm gonna go back to the OBXA synth behind me and try and like write a chord or a couple of chords on top of this. I'm gonna just copy the drum parts that I just did. Yeah, I think this is kind of, it's just a kind of simple Detroity pad type thing like that. That synthesizer, the Oberheim OBXA, is really good for sounds like that. It's really kind of rich pads. It's gonna mess with the sound on the OBXA a little bit. Bit I'm going to kind of just arrange, organize the stuff that I've recorded just in a very basic way, just going purely by kind of intuition. I'll kind of arrange it in like a very basic house track type of way. That's like super basic thing for a few minutes, just developing the idea and having the sample drop in and out for a little bit, bringing the bass in, bringing the arpeggio back. Probably like the most like bog standard kind of arrangement you could do, but once I've sketched out something like this, I kind of go back and start tweaking the parts and working out some more kind of fun ideas, working out what I haven't used from the takes that I did previously of the different synthesizers and kind of going into that and like developing the track a little bit. But that's kind of like basic idea of like where the track could go, you know.